ya ufunguzi wa kituo hiki, mfanyabiashara mdogo alikuwa akileta mzigo wake, anaweza kutolea hiyo mzigo katika container freight station za Mombasa, angeweza kutolea katika bandari kubwa ya Mombasa, na pia angeweza kutolea katika bandari ya ICBN ambayo ni bandari ya ndani ya serikali. Tunataka kufundisha wafanyabiashara wenyewe kurejista mizigo yao na entry zao na walipe ushuru wenyewe bila kupitia kwa clearing agent, na pia hiyo itapunguza gharama. Na tukienda mbele, kuna rununu, tunaweka teknolojia kwa rununu ya kuwasaidia kulipa hiyo ushuru yao kupitia rununu zao. Kwa wafanyabiashara wadogo kutoka Nanyuki, Sagana, Nakuru, Gilgil, mahali popote reli ya kitambo inapita, wataweza, kwa sababu Kenya Railways wana launch ile reli mpya ya passenger, wataweza pia kubeba mizigo yao na reli kutoka hapa. Hawatarudi tena kuingia matatu kutembea town na hiyo yote na shida zote za kutembea town, lakini watakuwa wakitoa mizigo hapa, wanaingia kwa reli direct. Kwa hivyo mizigo yao either watatuma na reli kama labda hawataki kwenda na reli wao wenyewe, na kwa hivyo watapata mizigo yao karibu na wao. Ikiwa hapa umeleta mzigo wako, unaweza kujipanga na mambo yako ya stock, kwa sababu muda wa kusafirisha hiyo container kutoka source mpaka hapa, mfanyabiashara anaweza kupredict itachukua muda gani. Na pia hapa idara zote za serikali katika bandari hii ziko tayari na tayari wamepewa maofisi, tukianzisha na KRA, Kenya Railways ambao watakuwa wakihandle hiyo mizigo, na pia internal security pia wako hapa. Wakati curfew lockdown zimeisha na hiyo yote, tutakuwa tukifungua hii bandari 24 hours. Kwa hivyo wafanyabiashara wadogo wanaweza kuchukua mizigo yao kutoka hapa wakati wowote.
My name is Lilian Nyawanda. I'm the Commissioner for Customs and Border Control at Kenya Revenue Authority. So Customs is a department within Kenya Revenue Authority. Customs' core mandate is to collect revenue, facilitate trade, and to protect our borders while ensuring compliance. Customs has been part of the Mombasa Port Charter, where we have specific initiatives that we've undertaken. We have the Authorized Economic Program, where we have importers and exporters signing up for our Green Channel, and their goods then are granted preferential treatment and fast clearance of cargo. We also have the Pre-Arrival Clearance Program, where we encourage importers to declare the goods way before the vessel arrives, so that by the time the goods check in, the clearance process is very fast, and we've seen many importers taking up this program. We also have our ICMS program, which is Integrated Customs Management System, that is basically new technology ensuring the fast clearance of cargo, and also it's risk-based, so it means our focus is more on post-clearance audit rather than spending so much time during the verification process. The intention is to give our importers and exporters a smooth and fast experience during clearance. We have our scanners that we've installed across all our border points, JKA, at all the airports, Mombasa, ICD, our borders like Busia, Namanga, where we ensure that we reduce the time it takes to verify cargo, and we are leveraging on an intrusive inspection of cargo. We also have our regional electronic cargo tracking system, where our goods that are passing through Kenya are secured through seals and monitored all the way to exit the country to Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi, DRC, and many other countries that we are collaborating with. The East Africa Community Customs Management Act provides for various levels of appeals that taxpayers can undertake in cases of dispute resolution. So we have the appeals mechanism. A taxpayer should be free to engage and of course object to the decision made by the commissioner. There are levels of appeal. So you appeal. If you're not agreeable with the decision made, you can further take it up to the tax tribunal, which is an independent body that reviews the cases and gives judgments based on the law. We also have court mechanisms available. However, if I focus on the ADR, ADR is an opportunity to move out of court, out of appeal, and engage. So again, ADR is an independent channel where the taxpayer comes in and is able to go through the dispute mechanism, where we have an independent mediator between KRA and the taxpayer. And this provides an objective process where the taxpayer is able to undertake and be heard and view and air their views and get an objective ruling. Again, the ADR is free, so there are no costs to it. And just further to that, we encourage taxpayers to engage. Customs is welcoming taxpayers to engage. We have various channels of communication. Not everything has to go through appeals. We have our social media platforms, we have walk-ins, we have a customs help desk. We are here and ready to engage. So we encourage our taxpayers to feel free, come forth, let us hear you, let's engage. Customs is a member of the Border Management Committee, and we take a lead role in this initiative. One of the mandates of customs is protect and safeguard our borders. So whatever is coming in or getting out needs to be secured and ensure that we're protecting the kind of cargo that's coming in. We have prohibited and restricted items that we need to check and ensure that they don't come through or are given the necessary licenses that are required. So some of the initiatives that we've undertaken are the one-stop border posts, where we've ensured that we are partnering with the countries. For example, if it's Malaba, we are partnering with Uganda to ensure there's one point of clearance amongst the two countries. Part of the things we have done is we installed scanners, we have checks that takes place there to ensure that everything that is crossing through is safe for our citizens. We also have, under marine, we have patrols across our waters. We have boats that we undertake. We have marine staff who are specialized in this area to again ensure that we deter any prohibited or restricted items checking in to our country from the waters. Again, we have our K9 unit where we have sniffer dogs that are trained, and we have staff that are trained and specialized in this area. Again, the dogs help us in detecting drugs and other prohibited and restricted items to ensure, again, our borders are safeguarded. We have various channels where we just ensure that anything that comes in, is safe for our citizens. So Customs, again, takes the lead amongst other border agencies. KRA's mandate is to collect revenue on behalf of the government. So KRA is an agent of the government. KRA collects revenue, administers taxes, facilitates trade, provides a conducive environment for taxpayers to pay taxes rightfully according to the law. My call to the taxpayers is to encourage us to continue paying taxes and to thank you for the good work you've done in ensuring that we are all paying the rightful taxes that we should. So the customs staff have been very helpful. My team is professional, helpful, competent, and very capable. The customs team have played a critical role in clearing cargo, especially during this COVID time, and they went above and beyond the call of duty to ensure that goods have been cleared as fast as possible, especially the vaccines, the health equipment, and they've delivered. And above that, they went ahead and delivered even on the target and surpassed that. So to the staff, I would want to tell them well.
Our invited guests who have found time to be with us here. Asanteni sana. At this point, I would like us to be upstanding. For both the national anthem and the Jumuiya anthem. Karibuni. Asante sana. We shall remain upstanding for a word of prayer from Pastor Meli.
Our chief guest for this function today, Commissioner Lillian, our CG, Mr. Githi Mburu, all our leaders, all protocol observed, fellow customs officers, and all who have joined us. I'll take us through the prayer for today. But before I do that, allow me to read just one scripture that I believe is relevant to our function today. The scripture is from the book of Romans, chapter 13. I would have read the whole of it, but I'll only read 2 verses, verse 6 and verse 7. This is what the scripture says. For because of this, you also pay taxes, for they are God's ministers, attending continually to this very thing. Verse 7. Render therefore to all their due, taxes to whom taxes are due, customs to whom customs are due, fear to whom fear is due, and honor to whom honor is due. Let us pray. Our Almighty God, God of all creation, we acknowledge your supremacy above everyone gathered here and all who have tuned in online today. Lord, we are here to celebrate and appreciate our customs officers for their role in collecting revenues for our government, facilitating legitimate trade, and in protecting our societies. We thank you for keeping them safe throughout the past year and bringing us to another auspicious celebration of the International Customs Day 2023. We commit them to you for guidance, direction, and protection in this new year. May you bless them, O Lord, as they serve this nation and the region diligently and with integrity of heart. We pray particularly for the Commissioner of Customs and the entire customs leadership, that they may have foresight, tact, fortitude to continue steering this department to greater heights. Lord, we also pray for our board members and their chairman, Mr. Anthony Mwaura, as well as for our entire management, led by our able CG, Mr. James Githimburu. May you empower them and continue guiding them as they strategically lead this organization. In your word, in Psalm 78, verse 72, your word says that David shepherded them with integrity of heart, and with skillful hands he led them. May each of our leaders be like your servant David, and may you make every strategy they conceive succeed and bear greater fruit for the sake of our nation, your nation. We pray for all KRA staff that you may keep them and lead them in their affairs. May you bless the work of their hands, O Lord, for our collective good. We also pray for our clients, our stakeholders, our counterparts in this region and world over, as well as for the World Customs Organization. May it be well with them. As they continue collaborating with us, may you prosper them, and may our partnership bring great success to our country. This we pray with gratitude in our hearts through the name of Christ Jesus, our Lord. Amen. God bless you.
Wow, wow. Thank you, Pastor Meli. And for those who don't know Pastor Meli, he's one of us. He's a distinguished customs officer of many years and a man of the cloth, as you can see. With the permission of the chief guest today, Commissioner General, Commissioner of Customs, Commissioner Dr. David Githi, our distinguished guests, I recognize Ambassador John quite a number of guests who are here with us today. Lieutenant Colonel Bernard Njiraini, MD, Kenya Bureau of Standards, David Garama, Kenya Trade Network Agency, who are also represented by a number of other officials, Kenya Airports Authority, Kenya Investments Authority, Kenya Private Sector Alliance, the University of Nairobi, Kenya Association of Manufacturers, Shippers Council of East Africa, Petroleum Outlet Association of Kenya, we have the ISPAC, KIFWA, Kenya International Freight and Warehousing Association, Strathmore University, Institute of Human Resource Management, Tanzania Revenue Authority, Kenya Transporters Association, Kenya National Federation of Juakali Association, MSME Alliance of Kenya, Twiga Foods, COOPS, Alcoholic Beverages Association of Kenya, Chandaria Industries, BOC Kenya, Hotpoint Alliance, Appliances, Vision Enterprises, SpeedX Logistics, Seacon Limited, Ray Cargo, Ufanisi Freighters, and the National Revenue Authority of the Republic of South Sudan. We recognize all of you and welcome you to this auspicious occasion where we are celebrating the International Customs Day. Ladies and gentlemen, the International Customs Day is celebrated worldwide on the 26th of every January. We will have a number of guest speakers today, and those guest speakers will no doubt tell us what role our customs administrations play in the movement of cargo and trade across the globe. Today, as we celebrate this day, we are having a number of activities that are happening out there. At the Kisii University, we are having a career talk to our students there. The same is happening at KCA University and Karatina University. In the North Rift, we have AIC Chebasis Boys High School, Kenya Pipeline ICD, something going on there, JKIA, Mombasa ICD, and a number of other places where these activities are taking place. So ladies and gentlemen, to start us off, I want to invite Dr. David Kinu. David Kinu is our Commissioner for Corporate Support Services, who will give some remarks. Dr. Karibu.
Our chief guest today, distinguished guests, our Commissioner General in KRA, distinguished KRA stakeholders present today, KRA management and staff, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. On behalf of the Kenya Revenue Authority, I would like to extend a warm welcome to all of you as you join us to commemorate the International Customs Day 2023. Despite your busy schedule, you have created time to celebrate with us today, and we are sincerely privileged to have you join us today. The International Customs Day, as we have been told by the previous speaker, is an annual event set aside to commemorate and appreciate customs administrations worldwide. It's a special occasion because it allows us to recognize and appreciate the hard work and dedication
of customs personnel, not only within KRA, but globally at large. For that, we are proud to showcase our efforts and activities in this domain. This year's celebration, which is themed Nurturing the Next Generation, promoting a culture of knowledge sharing and professional pride in customs, and this theme serves as a reminder of our commitment to fostering a culture of knowledge sharing and professional pride among our personnel. This has enabled us at KRA to build and sustain staff capacity that efficiently mobilizes revenue activities for this country. This day presents us with an opportunity to re-examine and remodel professional interest in the customs profession, not only among students, but also the practitioners, policymakers, academicians, and all the other stakeholders. For mine today, as we have lined up the right speakers to come and talk to us today, is to extend my warmest welcome to everyone present as we look forward to an engaging and informative commemoration this day. So once again, thank you, and karibuni to International Customs Day 2023. Asanteni sana.
Asante sana Daktari, Dr. Kinu, for your remarks. As we wait for a short video, I would like to welcome Ambassador John Mwangemi to kindly join the Commissioner General. I will be asking, after Ambassador John Mwangemi, we will be inviting two distinguished gentlemen to also come up to the podium. Bwana Joseph Kaguru, our Deputy Commissioner, you may sit there until I invite you, and Mr. Larry Liza will also be joining us to say a word or two. Just to give you assurance that our security, we have a very elaborate security arrangement here. We are secure. In case of any emergency, we will let you know the protocols. Secondly, for those who may wish to freshen up, there are facilities to our right as you exit. There will be facilities there for you. So at this juncture, I would like to request that we play a short video and then invite Bwana Joseph Kaguru, our Deputy Commissioner, immediately after the short video is played, to come and also set the ball rolling from a customs perspective. Then we will invite Ambassador John Mwangemi, our MD from KPA, to also say a few words as one of our major stakeholders. And then finally, we will have Mr. Larry Liza, who will also say a few words from the World Customs Organization's perspective. Asante.
Hello everyone, my name is Larry Liza. I serve as the Director of the World Customs Organization, East and Southern Africa region at the Regional Office for Capacity Building, hosted by Kenya Revenue Authority, one of our members in Nairobi, Kenya. You may definitely be aware that it's about 70 years since the World Customs Organization was founded in 1952 to support customs administrations all over the world to help in facilitating and promoting global trade. And we currently have 183 member countries. The WCO East and Southern Africa region is one of the 6 regions of the WCO and comprises 24 member countries from the East and Southern Africa region, trading in French, English, Portuguese, and a host of indigenous languages, probably over 200 languages across the region. The International Customs Day was founded 40 years ago in 1983, which was 30 years after the inception of the World Customs Organization. And the aim of the International Customs Day is to celebrate customs officials, customs agencies, customs partners from all over the world, each and every person who is responsible in one way or another with supporting and managing international trade all over the globe. Over the years, the WCO has had different themes for international customs trade. And just looking back the last 5 years, in 2019, our theme focused on promoting smart borders. In 2020, the focus was on sustainability, just to help us maintain the sustainability of the environment, our social systems, our political systems, our economic systems, and even our health systems and standards. In 2020, the same year, we had the COVID-19 pandemic hitting us and ravaging not just our region, but our entire world. And so in 2021, the Secretary General of the WCO dedicated the theme of the year to recovery, renewal, and resilience. In response to COVID-19 and just attempting to return to the new normal, knowing very well that we now have a new normal. It is impossible to go back to the post-COVID era, but we also have unintended consequences of COVID-19, especially on digitalization and digital transformation. And so in 2022, the WCO called for the theme on scaling up digital transformation with the aim of supporting reform and modernization for customs administrations all over the world. The 2023 theme of the International Customs Day and of the World Customs Organization is nurturing the next generation, promoting a culture of knowledge sharing and professional pride in customs. This theme is quite ideal because we are nurturing the next generation of customs officials and everyone playing a role in international trade, just changing lives and recognizing that each and every person is key. We have a new upcoming generation that is coming up with new and novel ways of doing things, entailing digital transformation, knowing that information right now is best shared and you don't have any strength in holding on to information, and just ensuring that we manage data in a very secured way. So our aim is one, to promote knowledge sharing among all the parties, customs to customs, customs to business, and customs to other government agencies. But at the same time, we want to get this professional pride of customs officers, for customs officers to realize that they are key individuals, key personalities important for our world, not just for trade facilitation, but the social aspects of our world, the economic aspects of our national administrations, our region, and our world, and to give everyone a sense of belonging, knowing that that they do is a service to humanity, to their countries, and ultimately to our world. So our aim this year is just to let every official working with customs and working in customs to know that they are key people and they work hard and we appreciate them, and each and every customs officer from Kenya, from all over the world, to know that they have a place in the days of our lives. To all the staff of my home administration, Kenya Revenue Authority, to customs officials and partners from East and Southern Africa, and to the global customs family, I wish you a happy International Customs Day 2023. Thank you.
Asante sana, Larry, Liza. You may kindly stand up so that everyone can appreciate the good work that you do. Asante sana. Bwana Joseph Kaguru, please come and set the ball rolling here.
Our Chief Guest, Commissioner Lilian, Commissioner General, the CEOs from the various organizations present here today, the commissioners present, our distinguished stakeholders who are here with us today, my colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. Indeed, today it's a great privilege to be here to celebrate the World Customs Day. This is a day that the very important work we do as customs officers is recognized by the whole world. It's a day when we give the world an opportunity to see what we do in terms of making it easy for legitimate trade to go across our borders. However, what the world does not see is the hard work we put into this. As you all know, and especially my colleagues, we know the officers who work 12 hours in a day in the various stations in this country. We know the officers who continue working even when they are home to make it possible for some of our hospitals to continue running. In addition to that, we know there are also officers who miss their holidays so that they can be back in the office. In fact, I don't remember a time when customs officers enjoyed their Christmas holidays. And this is simply because they appreciate the work they do, and it calls for a great and higher purpose. And also considering that that is the time most of the goods are moving across the country and across our borders. So we can't afford to have our officers enjoying their holidays when Kenyans and the region and the whole world is suffering. But we find our officers working during those times. But we always give them an opportunity, I'm aware, other times when they can have peace with their holidays and enjoy the holidays with their families. Additionally, the world may also not see the difficult circumstances under which customs officers work. What they see are the good results, but the difficult circumstances. And I want to give an example of when COVID broke out. You may not be aware, but we were the first people to interact with the Kenyans who lost their lives in various parts of this world as they came back home to get a decent burial. We interacted with those people. We also interacted with their relatives because you are at the airport receiving the bodies with them. We are also the people who saw out those who left this country in coffins to go back to their countries. We are also the people who worked 24 hours to ensure that all the resources to support the hospitals were cleared on time. And I think, you must all be aware that we did not have complaints about resources being received by the various institutions. Again, ladies and gentlemen, we know we have officers who are working in very difficult borders. We know the northern part of Kenya. We know the cases of mines. We know the crossfire in some of those border stations. I know in one of the stations until recently, our office was the last barrier. And at one point, we had to evacuate officers from that office to come back to Nairobi. And for some days, we did not have officers in that border.
We know there are borders that are still not operational, but we have officers there. And this tribute goes to them and their families, because it's not easy. And I believe most probably that is why we are not just officers, but we are called proper officers. We must be differentiated from the rest because we do difficult work. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I have also worked as a regional coordinator in Western Kenya. And at one time, there was an outbreak of Ebola in one of our countries, some of our partner countries. And as you are aware, Maraba, we had 1,000 trucks coming inside from some of those countries. If you have 1,000 patients with Ebola in those countries, it has no cure. You are interacting with the drivers who are coming from that country every day. You are also interacting with others who are leaving this country into those countries. You can imagine the circumstances. I remember visiting those officers in a border called near Maraba. I forget, Rohaha. I remember visiting the officers, but they didn't look bothered. They were focused, and they were doing a very good job. And I would also like to thank our government because it has also resourced them properly. It was quickly able to reactivate the cells that are supposed to support those cases. And this gave our officers a lot of confidence. And I'm also aware, I would like to thank the leadership of the authority because they have also given our officers a lot of support. But, ladies and gentlemen, it's not about money. It's not about a good salary. It's not about overtime. It calls for a higher purpose to do what customs officers do. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Deputy Commissioner Joseph Kaguru. I couldn't have put it any better than you. Another round of applause for him, please.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Our chief guest, CG, all stakeholders, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I'm very happy to be here today to participate in this wonderful occasion that brings us together to celebrate the International Customs Day. And I clearly subscribe to the sentiments expressed by Joseph, who we work very close together about the hard work that happens at the offices in Mombasa, especially where we interact more often. Kenya Post Authority, as you may know, ladies and gentlemen, is a key stakeholder in this ecosystem. And to this end, we continue to invest and focus especially on the efficiencies for the work to move very smoothly. We are the entry point for our region, for Kenya and our region, both in Mombasa, which is a key main port, and Lamu. And therefore, work starts from there. Our engagement with the Kenya Customs authorities in Mombasa and all the agencies has been once a challenge and also a joyful engagement because we all understand the critical role we play in the economy of this country. We've had challenges before that we submit because we one time had a lot of congestions at the port and the ship turnarounds and the efficiencies were very low. But one of the things that we learned from these challenges, because every good crisis is an opportunity to do better, we actually came around and formed what they call the multi-agency approach. And I think this initiative has made work much easier and has allowed us to be able to provide services to our stakeholders. We still know there's a long way to go because excellence is about continuous improvement. And it's our commitment to this nation that we shall continue to ensure that we climb the efficiency curve. A number of things have now happened, in terms of the systems were put in place at the port. And to this end, I can proudly say that we have cut down the number of turnaround of a dwell time of our vessels from a long time of 3 weeks to 2.5 days. No waiters. And this has translated into some of the best performances now we're experiencing in the next 2 years in a row, even after the COVID. When Kenya Customs gets busy, it's because also we are getting busy. And we're very happy to be part of this journey to keep on contributing very positive to our economy. I want to recognize the Mombasa office, and all the customs officers working there. It is hard work, and I do accept it, like I've just said, subscribe to sentiments expressed by Joseph. There is no day, there is no night, because we are all a 24-hour operation, whether it rains or not. And whenever there is a problem, both the customs, ourselves, and the other agencies get very quickly involved. The feedback and contributions so that we can continue to do much better than we're doing today. I thank you very much for your attention.
Tumpigie makofi tena. Asante sana. A few years ago, we would have a vessel in Mombasa, at the port of Mombasa, for up to 14 days. Just a few years ago, 15, 20 years ago, there would be, that turnaround period would be a minimum of 14 days. Today, we are told it's 2.5 days. Jamani, simpigie makofi. 2.5 days from 14 and beyond 14 days is quite something to celebrate about. And that means more work for customs officers. We shall be kept on our toes by our good MD here with the kind of good work that he is doing at the port. Chief guest, Commissioner General Sir, I want to now invite Bwana Larry Liza, who will say a few more words, and then invite Bwana Larry Liza, you will invite our Commissioner General to give his remarks. Asante.
To the Chief Guest Commissioner for Customs, Lilian Nyawanda, to our distinguished Commissioner General, Mr. Gidi Mburu, Ambassador, MD, Commissioners present, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Good morning. I'm a little bit under the weather, but I am happy to be home. I wish to start by conveying the greetings and love of the Secretary General of the WCO, Dr. Kunio Mikuria, to the CG, to the Customs Fraternity, and to each and every person serving in Kenya Revenue Authority. I also wish to convey the regards of Miss Regina Chinamasa, who is the Commissioner General, Zimbabwe Revenue Authority, and serving as the chairperson of the region, alongside the Commissioner for Customs, Mr. Batsirai Chazingwa of Zimbabwe Revenue Authority. I joined KRA, zetu zote zimeisha, umeingia KRA. And I knew that they kept sharing that at KRA we don't pay taxes. If you work there, everybody drives, and there was a lot of money. I'm here to report years later that as a staff, there is still not a lot of money as my relatives imagine I do. They actually think I probably earn 2 million shillings. But it was quite hard for me because there was this joy in the family and everywhere else. But this pride of coming to KRA, Commissioner General, quickly waned when we went to class and we came in. And we quickly were told that we were in a group called the BCO, the Border Control. And so we were disillusioned because we had a group of 160 GTs, 40 of us had gone to BCO and 120 had gone to domestic taxes. Soon there was word around that we were the gatekeepers. We were the watchmen. We were just to be, in fact, we just looked at, we would see Securex buses out there and we would wave at our colleagues. And in fact, CG, one of us just said, we are at a CCC Securex, we are Hatari. And so we started working with that version and vision of Hatari. Hatari bin Vu, or Danger Hatari. But we were quickly disillusioned more and more as we went into class to Kesra, then called Krati. And at some point, we accosted one of the officials of this authority called Anastasia Giduba, who was in HR. And we asked her, how did you choose the 120 who are going to DTD and the other 40 who are going to customs? She told us, we had a list of 160. We counted the first 40, and we said, go to BCO. And the rest. So we were the first 40. It gave us a little bit of hope. Kumbe tulikuwa top 40, ndio tukaenda huko. But over time, we loved each other, we loved on each other, and as we went on training, we quickly realized that we were changing. We loved each other during training until the time we went to work. And when we started working, we realized that we were creating walls among those of us we had called colleagues. We were never wanting to share information. We were never wanting to talk to each other. Some people believed they were in places called wet areas. Some believed they were in places called dry areas. And those who were in places referred to as dried areas really were disillusioned. And sometimes transfers would come and people wanted to go to certain places and spaces. And the truth is, for many of us, there was corruption. However, some things changed over the years, and at some point the CG came in and there was a sense of change that went there. But unfortunately, there was also a sense of fear that came onto staff who were not feeling easy to work, especially us in customs. But after a while, we realized that, this CG actually means well for us. And we continued to start seeing a sense of pride, a sense of joy, a sense of work in customs officers. CG, what you might not know is that during COVID-19, most of the staff in KRA who may have contacted COVID were deeply grateful to you. They may not have reached you personally, they may not have written letters, but they were grateful because KRA was one of the companies that gave staff the best care and paid for literally everything for every officer who was affected by COVID. And so it came out that the CG doesn't talk much, but he really acts. So you may not hear him blabbering, you may not see him talking to the media, but you see a sense of work just going on. At a personal level, CG, you may not have account, but since my appointment as the director and yours coming over as the CG, I have sent for you 12 requests. And I have received 100% response in all those requests. Whether it is someone wanting to travel from my office and we request these, whether we need a new staff at the ROCB, I have always sent these requests and all of them, except none, has been denied. So with me, CG, you are at 100% performance rate in accepting my requests. Next week, I'll be presenting another request. I encourage you to maintain your performance rate of 100%. And maybe when I request for one, you can give two, so that if you go to 110%, it will be good. But under your leadership, CG, a lot of respect has been gathered by Kenya across the globe. You as KRA is recognized for digital payment solutions and payment systems that nobody else in East and Southern Africa has, not even South Africa. You are also recognized as a country that has done a lot in modernization strategies, not just through the e-payment solutions, but the single window, the authorized economic operators, and all that. Kenya is also highly regarded. These you may not know, but we are one of the countries leading in gender equity, diversity, and inclusion, especially KRA. KRA alongside Rwanda, Seychelles, and Eswatini. And so I just said, because I said a lot on the video, I just said I am coming back home to say thank you. Thank you, Mr. Githimburu. You are an icon and an inspiration to me. Thank you, Commissioner Lillian. Your account is so far 8 requests. You have responded to 8 of them effectively, and I also encourage you to continue keeping that 100%. I am so proud to be a customs official, and I hope that all of you will realize the sense and meaning in this theme, nurturing the next generation, securing our systems, helping us with sharing information in a secured system, loving on each other, and finding that strong pride in customs. Regarding information and knowledge sharing, you lose much holding on to it, but you get a lot of strength in giving it away. Thank you. It happens when we lose, we don't have our scripts. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish to invite our boss, our leader, our friend, our mentor, Commissioner General, Mr. Githimburu, to present your remarks. Thank you so much, sir.
Our invited guests, my colleagues in customs, good morning. I have some remarks to make, but before I make them, let me first appreciate the previous speakers who have been here before me. Bwana Kaguru, I wanted to dress like you this morning because I believe I'm a proper officer. But when I went to where I keep my uniform, I realized the uniform was made I think when I was a bit bigger. I think in the last 1 year or so, there has been too much pressure from top, from bottom, from all sides, and it has squeezed me a bit. So I couldn't fit into my uniform. But at least I found the shirt was still okay. And the trouser, but the coat, I think a lot of things have happened. So I will have to go back to the tailor. So I couldn't look like you are, but I am indeed very grateful to where we have come from in customs. I call them Kenya Customs, and I'm very proud of Kenya Customs. We have come a long way, a very, very long way. I think if you look back where we came from, and Rale Lisa here has painted it, Kaguru here has painted it, the MD KPA, who is our very, very important partner and stakeholder, has put it very clearly, the many challenges we have had in the points of entry, including the port. We used to lose a lot of cargo. A lot of it, there was serious inefficiencies and delays. A lot of complaints from our customers. Many, many things. But as we stand now, I believe that we have a very diligent workforce, very committed, very professional, and have less incidences of that nature that I've mentioned before. I must appreciate you, Kenya Customs, and thank you very much for walking this journey. I also like the way in which you have embraced stakeholder management. Your relationship with tax agents, customs agents, been very, very good. They have become our good friends. I like meeting them. And I believe very soon we will continue meeting them. They have truly transformed. Years back, we could get people bringing in machinery and a lot of valuable products, concealing them and completely declaring different things. We used to have a lot of trade in the prohibited items like ivory and other things. Those are things of the past. The way customs engages the customers, the importers and the clearing agents is very commendable. They are our friends, and I believe that now our space, our relationship is very, very professional. I must truly appreciate that. I know customs was for many years under resourced in terms of the number of staff. You could work for many, many hours under very difficult conditions. And we have tried a lot to make it easier for you. We have brought in so many officers, trained them, and deployed them. And I'm sure, although we are still not enough, we have come a long way. I like what I see at the airport. I was there 2 days ago, and I sat there at the airport in the evening. Luckily, not many people know me. Even in some of my staff could pass me there, and I was happy because I knew at least I could watch them do their work without them knowing I'm around. And I sat down there through the evening, and I saw the diligence these officers were doing their job. No one passed the scanner without passing through what was required to be done. There were no queues. They managed the queues very effectively and was truly very impressed. So customs, you've come a long way. You remain very close to my heart. At one time I wondered when I'll become a proper officer, but now I am. And I used to wonder what that means, proper officer. Though it is still a customs jargon, but I believe that Kagoro attributed some better meaning to it, that your work is special. The way you operate, the manner in which you work is special, and therefore you must always regard yourself as such. Now I'll go to my written speech. It gives me great pleasure to join you today as we celebrate this year's International Customs Day. The International Customs Day is set aside to commemorate and appreciate customs administrations globally. It is a day designated to honor the customs officials and the agencies for the significant role they play in ensuring that global trade management is efficient, safe, and secure. Let me therefore take this opportunity to first appreciate the KRA customs officers for the good work they are doing in our country. You have enabled KRA to efficiently facilitate legitimate trade without hindrances while protecting the country from threats posed by organized crime, smugglers, commercial fraudsters, terrorists, and even goods that could endanger the citizenry, our citizens. This has consequently contributed significantly to our success as a revenue collection agency. It is through your effort that KRA surpassed its revenue target after collecting for the financial year 21-22 Kenya shillings 2.03 trillion. During this period, Customs and Border Control collected 728.5 billion, surpassing its target of 702.8 billion. This represented a growth of 16.6% and an absolute figure of 25.7 billion. That is the amount by which you surpassed the target. Customs and Border Control has continued with the good trend in the first half of the financial year 2022-23. I'm proud to announce that the department surpassed its half-year target and collected Kenya shillings 387.7 billion against a target of 381. We must therefore commend our officers for their dedication and brilliant work. I think they deserve a clap. The first half was very difficult for us in terms of revenue. Very difficult. We were coming from a general election and the transition. We have been in an environment of high exchange, what you call exchange rates that are very high, significant depreciation of the Kenya shilling, and many other issues that have affected our economy. So for customs to have surpassed its target for the half year is truly, truly commendable, and we must pass my appreciation to the last person on the ground. I may not reach them in person, but I appreciate from where I sit that they have made this country very proud. These remarkable results are attributed to implementation of world-class customs infrastructure, professionalism, and adoption of good policies. The good results can also be attributed to KRA's efficient and business-friendly customs services at the border points. Our customs staff work tirelessly around the clock to provide timely and reliable services, as they also implement rigorous security actions at our borders countrywide. Ladies and gentlemen, as you all know, the government is currently scaling up revenue collection efforts by the Kenya Revenue Authority to Kenya shilling 3 trillion in the year 2023-24, and Kenya shillings 4 trillion over the medium term. This is part of the country's economic long-term turnaround plan. To achieve this, the government will embark on tax, administrative, and policy reforms. As outlined in the 2023 draft budget policy statement, one of the strategies aimed at enhancing revenue collection is leveraging on technology and enhanced data analytics by customs and border control. Technology has proven to enhance the effectiveness of customs operations, which has consequently improved the national revenue. Currently, KRA has automated all its core customs business processes through the ICMS platform, which has a great potential to transform the way in which we manage our customs procedures. The system has reduced cargo clearance and processing time, enhanced compliance, increased efficiency, and subsequently improved revenue collection. The system is a game changer in facilitating trade in the country and across the region. The system has helped reduce time taken to clear air cargo from an average of 6 days to 48 hours. This reflects a 66% improvement in clearance turnaround time, which has also reduced losses by traders and drastically reduced customers' complaints. KRA has also supplemented the automated business platforms with other supportive solutions that promise to significantly increase the value we drive from automation. These secondary platforms include the cargo X-ray scanners and non-intrusive scanners, regional electronic cargo tracking system, what we call RECTS, pre-arrival clearance, authorized economic operators, one-stop border posts, single customs territory, smart gates, among others. The RECTS platform has played a key role to contain the diversion of transit goods, including motor vehicles and other goods, into the local market. Unlike in the past, when the vice was rampant and hurt the local industries through unfair competition. The system has also helped us cut transit time from by more than 75%, and in return boosting trade at the Mombasa port. I know some years ago, the issue of transit diversion was very prevalent. Indeed, it was one of our biggest challenges because we couldn't monitor the flow of goods all along the corridors, all the way from the port of Mombasa to the destination countries. But I'm glad whenever I walk to the 13th floor and I see those diligent officers looking at those screens and monitoring how these things, cargo is transiting and how those alerts are being addressed, it gives me a lot of satisfaction. It tells me that with use of technology and a committed staff, properly resourced, we can change the manner in which our country is run. We can achieve much more for our country. Further, the East African Community Single Customs Territory has minimized the transit goods clearance time. The system has reduced unnecessary trade barriers and tariffs, which has consequently ensured faster movement of cargo to the hinterland. For example, on the northern corridor, the turnaround time for goods transiting from Mombasa to Kampala has now reduced from 18 days to 4, while goods from Mombasa to Kigali from 21 days to 6. The time and cost of transporting goods from the respective port of Dar es Salaam and Mombasa has also reduced from 21 and 18 days to 7 and 4 days respectively. As one of the Single Customs Territory initiatives, the One-Stop Border Post has also facilitated cross-border trade between East African Community countries and made the region to be a more attractive destination for investment. Most OSBPs have recorded a reduction in clearance and trust-in time and lowered cost of doing business. The average time taken to clear a truck at the OSBPs has reduced to between 5 and 10 minutes compared to the previous 2 to 3 days. I think, as you are aware, we have now deployed scanners at our key borders at Busia and Malaba. We have deployed newer scanners at the port of Mombasa, and it means that now we can scan 100% of the cargo. We don't have to we only check few targeted containers, very, very few indeed. Those that we can see have or pose the risks that we are looking for. So very few of them. This means that if we are maybe scanning 100% and checking about 15% of the containers for further verification, then we reduce the time spent at the port and at our borders. So these kind of technologies and the OSBP kind of platform and the Single Customs Territory have come a long way. We are now, I will also say the Authorized Economic Operator Program has also expedites the movement, release and clearance of goods at the ports and border stations by creating a partnership between the customs and businesses where mutual trust is established. Businesses under this program are scrutinized significantly less at the border compared to other regular cross-border traders. The program reduces cargo clearance time and costs associated with importing or exporting cargo, while guaranteeing safe, secure, and legitimate trade. KRI is committed to facilitating the expedited processing of AEO cargo for companies that maintain high levels of compliance as they engage in legitimate trade. Currently, approximately 30% of customs revenue is collected from AEO accredited importers. The authority intends to grow this figure by enhancing trade facilitation for the existing AEOs while expanding the program to include compliant taxpayers in other categories, especially in warehousing and the micro and small and medium enterprises. KRI has also installed smart gates at oil depots. The system allows faster clearance, loading and exit of trucks from the depots. It is expected to eliminate long queues brought about by manual processes. KRI has also adopted advanced risk management module in ICMS, which includes machine learning and artificial intelligence in the cargo clearance process. This has helped in the examination of data captured by merchants to determine the risk levels and the course of action. It reduces efforts of manual verifications for the consignments, which has in turn reduced and simplified the cargo clearance process for traders. As I conclude, let me thank all the stakeholders for the support you have accorded KRA and especially customs officials. I would like to reiterate Kenya's commitment in employing technology to improve efficiency of customs operations in the country. This will ensure that our borders are secure, our business environment is conducive, and society is protected. It will also ensure that Kenya safeguards its socio-economic and development goal, being the government revenue collection agency. Thank you very much. God bless you as you continue to do your job very, very diligently. As you continue to play your role, playing your part in ensuring our country is safe, first and foremost. As we facilitate trade, and as we collect every shilling, not a shilling more, not a shilling less, we must ensure every person who imports goods or who ought to pay a tax in this country does that. As Kenya Revenue, we don't even ask for a shilling more. We only ask what you owe to the government. I don't know why it becomes very difficult sometimes to pay what you owe the government. What we are telling Kenyans out there is that from where we sit, we will make it very easy for you to pay. We will ensure you pay with a smile. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Asante sana FCPA Githimburu. Tumpigieni tena makofi tafadhali. I was holding my breath when the CG came to speak to us. I was wondering what kind of scorecard is going to give us as customs. But thank you very much for that wonderful scorecard. I think the customs officials who are here have taken your cue and will continue to produce the results that we all look forward to. Even as we continue to celebrate this day, CG, we want to thank you and the leadership of KRA for all the support that we have received as customs. We don't take it for granted. Having a 100% scanning solution at the port of Mombasa and indeed at many of our entry and exit points is a feat that not many countries have been able to achieve. I think Larry can tell us that in the African continent, there is probably one or two who can rival Kenya. But I think we are leading. Even the most advanced Western countries do not scan 100%. They do not scan 100%, but we've been able to do that. And thank you very much for your continued leadership in this. At this point, I would now like to request our chief guests sitting at the front here to take their seats as we play a short video welcoming our chief guest who is the Commissioner of Customs, Madam Lilian Nyawanda. But I was wondering, CG, have you shaken hands with Ambassador Mwangemi this year? No, there's no evidence of that. So maybe yeah, we are looking for the evidence for that. Thank you very much. Dr. Kinu, have you been... Thank you very much. Asanteni sana. We may now take our seats. We are going to play a short video as our chief guest, as soon as the video is done, our chief guest, Madam Lilian Nyawanda, will make her way to the podium to give her keynote address. Asante.
Looking at my career journey, I started my career journey in 2003 at KRA. I joined the graduate trainee program, and which was a 2-year program, and then transitioned to customs. I was posted into customs department and worked through to the year 2009 when I moved to Deloitte. I joined Deloitte in the year 2009 as a senior consultant in customs and international trade, where I worked all the way to 2012, holding various roles and aspects within customs. And then I moved into East Africa Breweries Limited. I joined East Africa Breweries Limited in the year 2012, where I was in charge of customs in the wider East Africa region. I later on moved into covering all tax heads in the year 2014. I was in charge of Kenya Breweries Limited activities across all tax areas. I later moved back to specializing in customs in the year 2019 when I moved to Diageo Global. So in Diageo, I was in charge of customs and excise for the whole Africa region. This is a very exciting role, which I served until the year 2021 when I came back to KRA as Commissioner for Customs and Border Control. Basically, I came back home. Customs is a very interesting department and exciting department to work in. Looking at the younger generations, there's so much in store for them. We have a robust training program that covers the whole year, and some of the areas that we're focusing on is mentoring, leadership, development, coaching. We're also working on job rotations to ensure that we don't have officers that are just specialized in one area, but they're able to cover different areas of customs. The focus is to ensure that we develop our officers, we develop our customs professionals so they're able to serve the taxpayers and be able to execute their mandate professionally. Since coming on board in the year 2021, the Customs Department has demonstrated excellent performance revenue-wise. So for the year 2020-2021, we met our targets and of course exceeded our targets. 2021-2022 also, we really shone and that we surpassed our targets revenue-wise. Looking at this half year, 2022-2023, again, Customs Department was able to deliver good performance and recorded another surplus again. And we are looking forward to even closing the year 2022-2023 very strong. Moving from revenue, and just maybe before I proceed on, some of the key highlights revenue-wise we've seen since I came on board is hitting an all-time high of 70 billion in the month of August. This has never been recorded before. Previously, we were looking at 60 billion plus, but now we hit 70 billion in an elections month. That was really, really great for customs. We've had an all-time high of collecting 9 billion in one day. That was the highest ever revenue collection again in customs in December 2022. We've had other highlights like having the highest ever daily average, highest ever monthly collection, highest ever daily dry performance. So there've been so many highs that Customs has recorded revenue-wise. But moving on from revenue, looking at technology, Customs has been able to leverage on technology. There's so many initiatives that we've undertaken. Firstly, we're able to fully implement the Integrated Customs Management System, famously known as ICMS, and now we are fully on board. We've been able to roll out our dry cargo, we've been able to roll out our petroleum cargo, so we are fully on board, and ICMS has enabled taxpayers be able to clear their cargo very easily and reduced the clearance timeline. We've also been able to leverage on other technologies such as our scanners. We were able to install 7 additional scanners, and this has enabled us to reduce on the verification rates while leveraging on minimal intrusive verification. We've also been able to expand our border points, additional border posts, and we're working on new one-stop border posts, especially on the northern side, on the western side. We've been able to enhance our marine unit with our patrol boats. We've also been able to enhance our canine units, where we are currently working on setting up a dog breeding center at Loitoktok. So this is really exciting, and we look forward to even more initiatives in the near future. So looking at Customs, there's a whole world of possibilities ahead of us. There's so much we can do. Looking at the people, I'm looking at equipping our staff, developing our Customs staff and professionals that are well capacitated, well trained, well enabled and empowered to make the right decisions and to be agile and responsive to our taxpayers. And at the end of it all, ensure that we are enhancing trade. Looking at technology, we've done so much, but there's still so much to be done. So we're looking at leveraging on technology, looking at AI, machine learning, going fully paperless, automating our processes, engineering our business processes to ensure that they are responsive, agile, and in line with the international best practices. Looking at our partners and stakeholders, I'm seeing Customs being in a position where we're taking the lead and engaging stakeholders, having an open door policy, ensuring that we are working with other multi-agencies and government agencies and international institutions, taking our place in East Africa, in Africa, and the wider global platform to ensure that our voice is heard and Customs is leading, performing, excelling in revenue in all areas. So there's so much that Customs can do. There's so much, and the future looks bright for us. To my Customs colleagues at KRA, regionally and globally, I appreciate the great job you do in safeguarding our borders, protecting society, and facilitating trade. Thank you for the good job. Let's continue doing what we do best. I wish you a happy International Customs Day. Thank you.
Good morning. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here. Thank you all, our distinguished guests. Ambassador Mwangemi, it's good to see you. I can see so many familiar faces here. Commissioner General, you look good in your uniform. Yes, and just to assure you, you are our proper officer number 1. So maybe just to demystify that the Commissioner Customs, and I believe all commissioners in KRA, operate under delegated power. So he is the proper officer. We work under his delegated power, just to clarify that. So it's an honor to be here. My colleagues in KRA, Customs, and all other departments, thank you all. It's a pleasure to be here. It's an exciting day for us. You know, International Customs Day for Customs is a big deal. And a lot has been said. Kaguru talked about it. We've had, I think Bisonga also talked about it. We've had so many stories about Customs. And today is just a day to reflect, sit back, not let our guards down, because there's still work to be done, but just to reflect and look back at Customs and see, you know, what role does a Customs officer play? Not just in KRA, in East Africa, Africa, the wider world. So before I go to my lecture, I will give maybe one or two stories to break the ice. Larry talked about his journey, joining KRA and everything. So I joined KRA in 2003. Part of that was in my profile. And when we were posted, after the 2-year training and the rotation, when we were posted, I was posted to customs. I was not happy at all. At all. I really wanted to join DTD, domestic taxes. So for me, and I kept going to HR, I kept going to HR and telling them, I want to, in fact, I found someone I could exchange with, who was willing to go to customs and swap. And I'll mention this lady, because one of the things I did when I came back to KRA in 2021, I actually called her to my office. And just tying it to nurturing the future generation, this is how I interacted with people in KRA who, not knowingly, charted my path into my destiny here. So I'll talk about a lady. I think she's in ISO now, Sophie Abuga. She was in HR then. So I kept going, telling her, I need to swap. I found someone. I need to swap. I need to go to domestic taxes. I just didn't like customs at all. So I went so many times. The last time I went to her office, she was not even happy. She was very tough with me. She told me, look here, Lillian, do not come back here again. She told me, go focus on customs, make a career out of customs. That's what and I reminded her. So I knew, okay, my goose is cooked, so I can't go back to HR again. So I went back, I reported to customs, did my rounds in the different stations. So when I went to Deloitte, it's on the strength that I had done my experience in customs that I was able to be poached into Deloitte. And it's on the same strength that I moved to the next levels, But I kept remembering this lady, And that day I was not very happy with her. I was like, these HR guys are so insensitive, But looking back, every time I would move, to Deloitte, to ABL, to Diageo, I kept remembering Sophie, And for me, reflecting on that, I remembered what impact we can have as leaders at whatever level, whatever level. You never know what impact you may have in, the next generation, the people you interact with. So whenever I think about that and my current role, I keep saying it's good to be deliberate and conscious about how we're impacting, especially the younger guys, There's so many opportunities, but the young people just need to be guided, mentored, coached, sometimes whipped a bit, into the right direction, like happened to me. And look at me, here I am, a customs professional. So Sophie, wherever you are, let's appreciate her. Apart from recognizing, the people who have impacted my life, and there are very many. My first day when I reported to KRA, back to KRA in 2021. And when I came in, the Commissioner General was away, but there was an acting commissioner. I think towards the first week, I sent a WhatsApp. You may not remember, CG. I sent a WhatsApp to you, just telling you I reported and have settled in, and I've been inducted well by the acting commissioner. That was Commissioner Matuku then, and all the other commissioners were so, supportive. You sent me, I think it was one line. You may not even remember. To date, it rings in my head, So actually, most of the time when CG calls me to his office, that rings in my head. So he wrote one line. He wrote, I think, noted, then he said, you must settle very, very fast. I could feel his voice. You must settle very, very fast. So I still have that WhatsApp to date. But that switched me on. For me, there was no learning curve. I knew I was hired as a professional, a skilled and experienced professional. I was to hit the ground running. So there was no room to, learning curve, 6 months, 3 months, and all that, And you may never know CG, but that really, I think that's the voice that keeps ringing in my head whenever I tend to. Sometimes we let our guards down. I remember you must be switched on, you must, steer the whole department. You must keep moving. And for customs profession, our role and our job is very dynamic. No single day is the same as another. There are different things we face. Every day there are different challenges, different people we meet, different products that come to the borders, and we must keep at pace with what's happening. The world is dynamic, but we must keep the momentum. We have no time to relax. Yeah. But customs are not operating in isolation. We have our partners, and there's so many partners represented here. Our taxpayers, our clearing agents, our key partners like KPA, Shippers Council, KIFWA, Kenya Association of Manufacturers, KEPSA. I could name so many. We are all here. Those who are here and those who are not here. You all play a very critical role in the success of customs. So today is to appreciate us all. It's an International Customs Day, but we cannot appreciate customs professionals alone. It's all of us. It's a partnership. So thank you to all of you for playing this great role in ensuring that customs delivers its mandate. So I will go to, thank you. So allow me to go to my public lecture. I don't know if we'll have it put up. Okay. So I will give a public lecture, and I will basically talk about the anatomy of customs, a noble profession. A lot has already been said about customs, and I don't know if I can get the, okay, okay, thank you. So a lot has been said about customs. And when you think of customs, there's so much that comes to mind. For me, being posted to customs was, at that point, I didn't have full visibility of customs. I just didn't feel like I was, destined to that department. But there's so much that goes on in our minds. There are different perceptions. Some are true, some are not. And it's our role as customs professionals to demystify this in our day-to-day jobs. These are images. I don't know if we can all see. Yeah? So these are images on basically our different officials at the different places. And we are at all different touch points. We are at sea, we are at land, we are at air, we are everywhere. Okay, yes. So our officers operate 24 hours in most places. And whereas the normal job, the normal tax job, a carrier officer generally works 8 to 5, customs officers work throughout. Be it at the airport, be it at the port, be it at the borders, we are all over. So I will take us through a journey of customs, and then from the ancient of days, and then come closer home. So customs is one of the oldest professions, yeah? As you may maybe not be aware. After the clergy, the military, the ruling class. In the ancient days, customs, interestingly, was offered by traveling merchants as a bribe to sovereigns for considerate treatment. So it was, for these merchants to pass through a specific territory, they would give some money to be allowed to pass through. And later on, it became mandatory. So it moved from being a bribe, as was believed, to being called a duty, a mandatory fee that had to be charged. Okay? So with time, customs evolved. And for those of you who read the Bible and I guess the Quran, there are elements where you can see that, where traders or travelers or even high-level, dignitaries would pass through a territory into another. They would somehow part with something as an appreciation for being allowed to transit into that area. So this went on, and with time, it became a norm that customs duties needed to be paid whenever you're coming in or out of a territory. Okay, so I'll go to the next slide, and we'll talk about the entry and exit points. So as the customs term or practice became more refined, territories now set up bridges, gates, and centers for collection of taxes. So that now it was not just random. There were specific areas where you pass through and you pay your taxes. Okay? And especially it was for passing traders, because as you may know, in the old days, traders would literally carry their goods with them, but exchange trade. So customs duties then became a common requirement to fund the king's coffers. Again, in the olden days, there were kingdoms. So moving from one kingdom to another, everyone had their territory, and you'd have to pay something. So with time, customs duty then became easy to collect and became the most reliable sources of public revenue for many centuries. The next image shows camels arriving at Sawakin Port, Sudan, in 1877. This is the most ancient Sudanese commercial port situated at the Red Sea. So Sudan was a crossroads for goods imported from Arab Peninsula, India, and Europe. So let's look at customs in East Africa. A customs union between Kenya and Uganda was formed in 1917 under colonial rule, with a single customs territory between the two countries. The territory had a common external tariff and internal free trade, which began in 1923. Tanganyika then joined the Common Customs Administration in 1927. So in all this, we had the East Africa arrangement. Now let's look at WCO. So how does EAC then, the old EAC then come into play with the WCO? So we're looking at the development of World Customs Organization. After the First World War, so countries became protected over their territories, just tightening what was existing before, but now everyone trying to safeguard their territories and imposing high tariffs. So they also introduced complex customs procedures, which led to international traders demanding for change. The tension was just too high. International cooperation in customs matters began under the League of Nations in 1924. In 1952, the Customs Cooperation Council was created to improve the efficiency of customs administrations across the world. In 1994, they guide us as members of WCO in the 21st century. So all this revolve around integrity, capacity building. We have programs around all those areas: professional culture, service, enabling powers, risk management, coordinated border management, technology, customs trade partnership, and the list is endless. So what does a career in customs entail? And a lot has been said about that. You can see that's a picture of a customs officer with our uniformed forces. The next slide also gives images of a tracker, the scanner. We have an officer with a vehicle there. We have a vessel. We have our regional coordinator, Mr. Tunui, in one of the images there, engaging other officers. What does a customs professional do as we continue? So we're looking at the evolution of customs role. Customs officers basically do revenue collection of import taxes, protection of economic interests, basically protecting what is coming in. So we're protecting the domestic industry as we look at what is coming into the country. Protection of society, be it looking at health, safety, drug trafficking, firearms, environment, prohibited and restricted goods. Our officers are the entry point. And we've had cases where you find someone comes into Kenya and at the airport, for example, at the JKA, you're intercepted, after scanning and everything, and you're found with items that are either prohibited or restricted.
For example, if you come with drones into Kenya, you will not pass through until you have the prerequisite license. So you'll deposit them there. If you come with a gun and you don't have the license, you'll have to leave it at the airport, be given a document to indicate that you have deposited, and on your way out, you go with it. Those are for restricted items. But prohibited items, then those forfeited, because they're not good for society. Economic development, trade, investment, trade facilitation. Our role is to ensure that we facilitate trade, boost the economy, ensure that the country thrives in the process. Security, looking at terrorism, a wider focus to the supply chain. There's so much happening, and our officers need to be alert at all customs touch points. Are our officers armed? No, they're not. So how do we ensure security takes place? We work with partners. We work with the military, the National Police Service, the uniformed forces. So we work multi-agency approach to ensure that we partner. So becoming a customs officer. The customs profession is one of the most dynamic jobs, and I had mentioned, every day is different. It's exciting because the challenges we face today are different from tomorrow. Some are very draining, some are exciting, but this is what builds us and strengthens us and makes us stronger and more professional customs officers. So across the globe, many leaders of customs agencies have diverse academic and professional backgrounds, including arts, business law, law enforcement, and intelligence agencies, public service, etc. I'll give you an example. My background is finance. I have a master's in strategic management, pursuing a degree in PhD in public policy, specializing in policy analysis. We have different people having backgrounds in law, maybe a master's in something else. We have statisticians, economists, engineers. So we have different backgrounds. However, what brings us together is a specialized training in customs, which is mandatory for professional competency. And KRA has one of the best institutions, KESRA, that trains our customs officials so that they come out there refined and equipped, you know. So what are the relevant skills for customs professionals? So apart from their academic background and the technical element, knowledge of customs law, regulations and procedures, basically having a thorough understanding of the law, being able to internalize, understand, appreciate, interpret, implement, challenge, attention to detail, communication skills, because as you may know, customs, we are the forefront, we interact with taxpayers. So a customs professional must be able to communicate decisions made, to answer the question, why? You know, why are you charging me these taxes? Why can't I come into this country with a gun, for example, or a drone? Problem-solving skills, because on the spot, we make quick decisions on the spot. As we are trying to enhance and facilitate trade, we need to make decisions on the spot, of course, in consultation. Flexibility and adaptability, being able to adapt to new laws, legislations, you know, as the situation may arise. Technical skills, I talked about that. Language proficiency. It's a plus to have multiple languages, especially when we're interacting at a global level. One of the challenges I had is when I went for the WCO council meeting last year in Brussels, and we had the gadgets used to interpret. So when someone is speaking French and you don't understand French, you have to switch it on so that you're able to translate into English. And that, I got a challenge because I realized I did French in high school, but I think I left it there. I didn't proceed after that. And my children are doing French, and they speak French, you know, amongst each other. Sometimes it's when they don't want me to understand what they're saying, they switch to French.
So I wonder, that's a challenge I picked up, and I said, I need to refine my French. So I'm working on French. So hopefully in the next council, maybe in 2 years' time or 1 year time, I may be able to, communicate with some people in French fluently. But these are some of the skills that customs officials, it's an added advantage. Dealing with travelers who are coming in, tourists who don't understand English. Those are some of the added skills. Physical fitness, a customs officer must be fit. We must take care of our bodies because the work we do is draining. Walking and cutting across those yards, getting onto the vessels, doing rummaging, signing off the blue books. There's so much we need to do. Doing raids, interventions, and working with the uniformed forces, we must be able to keep pace with what they do. So, training for customs professionals. And we're looking at formal training. So we have various trainings, and many customs administrations globally have provided various modes of training. At KESRA, our Kenya School of Revenue Administration, where we train our customs professionals, and not just customs, all KRA officers, are trained through KESRA. But apart from the formal training, we have the on-the-job training, which is very critical for us. So there's the classroom work, and then there's the practical work, where officers then shadow the skilled officers to be able to learn, and they're put on board. There's professional development, so we have refresher courses that we keep taking our officers through to ensure that they are up to date. And then there are other elements, specialized areas where we train specifically for unique areas in customs. For example, we have our teams that deal with marine. We have our coxswains, our captains. We have the canine, where we deal with the dogs, the sniffer dogs. So we have specialized staff who are trained on that area. Last year we trained, I think around 15, I'm not sure the number, around 15 of our staffs on drone management in preparation for employing drones, especially on our northern area and our high-risk areas where we may not put our officers, but we can use technology to take care of that. Scanner image analysis, we have trained officers in that area. We have officers trained in combating terrorism and other transnational crimes. We have officers taken through paramilitary training. So all of these are trainings that customs officers have gone through. And this is just, we're still enhancing and seeing what other areas, as the world changes, as the dynamism in the world keeps, advancing, what other areas can we take our officers to go through? So the next slide is some more images from different areas. One is for Afghanistan, just showing people in a classroom, the Afghanistan training at the National Customs Academy. If we go to the next slide, I'll talk about the challenges in the profession. And I can't stop talking now. This has been said. I think Kaguru outlined it so well on the challenges faced by customs professionals. High workload and pressure. Processing of huge shipments. As our economy grows, as the East African wider region grows, the workload increases. Smuggling and illegal activities. Customs goods, drugs, weapons, counterfeit goods, compliance and regulations, knowledge of both national and international legislation in processing shipments, interpersonal interactions. Our officers interact with different individuals, of different characters and personalities, especially at the airport. We interact with different characters, and you have to remain professional. A traveler arrives at the airport when they are so tired, they're exhausted. So the skill and the art to know how to handle this traveler professionally, and at the same time ensure that taxes are paid where they are due, requires a lot of training, and we're working on that. Technological advancement. Sometimes we may not be up to speed with what's happening. The world is changing every time. You know, different technologies, different things coming up. Sometimes in verification, you're not even sure what this item is. I remember when we were struggling with the e-cigarettes, and you know, looking at the vaporizers and all these things that people are using now. And one day I went home and I was trying to Google and check, you know, this vaping, because it's also in schools. And I asked my son, this vaping thing, you know, I need to understand what this. So he asked me, Mom, you don't know about vaping? I said, everyone talks about it in school. And I wondered, wow, here I'm a Commissioner of Customs, and children in class 4, 5, 6, they know about vaping. What does that tell us? Sometimes the training is not even at work or in classroom. It's in this younger generation. They know what's happening. And as the world advances, and some of these things are introduced into the market, they capture the younger generation. So sometimes you get information through this, you know, young people who sometimes we ignore and wonder what they know. They have so much information. Physical and mental demands. We have long working hours, you know, stretched borders, leaving our spouses to go work in other areas, all this in our profession. And sometimes when I deal with some of our staff issues, you know, I identify with what they go through. But duty calls, you know, we cannot put everyone in Nairobi to work because we need people in Mombasa, we need people at Kopanga, we need people in Shimoni, Luahaha, you know, Seoport, wherever, we need people there. But sometimes you empathize with staff sometimes. I'll give you a story. When I was, so after I agreed to join the customs, you know, department, I think I'd just gotten married before we were deployed. So I got married in KRA in 2004 when I was in KRA. Then we were deployed in 2005, yeah, I think around 2005. Or is it end of 2004? I can't even remember the dates. But in the process, so I was deployed to customs. Then I was also deployed to Mombasa. I was newly married. So that's a real challenge. So when I hear some of these stories, I went and served in Mombasa. It was tough. Was it tough? It was very tough, you know. But when I listen to staff and I hear the stories, oh, I'm newly married, oh, you know, my spouse, all these things. Sometimes you empathize, and sometimes we try to be as reasonable as possible, where is workable. But then again, we can't have all staff in one area, you know. There has to be someone who will work in Moyale and Lokichogio, you know. There must be someone who will work in Luahaha, because we have to be at all those touch points. So this is a challenge to our customs professionals, and not just in Kenya, and globally, East Africa globally. It's a calling. It's a profession that we have chosen, you know, to dedicate ourselves to. Let's not tire. The challenges are there, but we must keep at it. We must do it. We're the ones who've been chosen and called to do it. So we must do it. Okay, risk of physical danger from criminals, smugglers, terrorists. We've had, and Guru has mentioned some of them, we've had so many incidences. Swale is here. We've had shootings on the northern side. We've had our office at, an office that actually, when I was sent the image, that was last year, I was sent an image with our office with the bullet shots, images. And we had to evict our officers. You know, Lokichogio, I think just the other day on the southern, or bordering with South Sudan, we also had some issues there. So it's real challenges we face every day. Customs officers, we may not compensate you enough, you know, because we work with a budget, you know, but your role cannot be equated to money. I think that's the challenge I'll give you. You can't equate your role to money, because when you do that, then you lose the focus. We will try to do the best we can to protect you, to create an environment where you're able to thrive.
But keep at it. Your reward is higher. Keep at it. Okay. So those are some of the images showing the, challenges that are faced. These are drug smugglers, and images have been taken from all over, the world. A lot of images borrowed from WCO website. So this is just to encourage us that, especially the customs professionals, customs staff, as the commissioner here, having, started off down there and verified containers. And I'll tell you guys another story, which is very funny. So after I served in Mombasa, I came back to Nairobi. I was posted to ICD, but I was also expectant. So I was expecting my first baby. So I got my labor pains inside a container in ICD. And the funny thing, this is a very interesting story. So those days we didn't have scanners, so it was physical verification. So this clearing agent who had 3 containers, and because I was very heavily expectant, the guy kept dodging me. I think he was waiting. We mama tazalini, so that So the mother would tell me, do you still have strength? I would tell them, kata hiyo container, kati mpaka mwisho, so that I can. They were hawker items. So the day when they stripped one container, I walked to the yard, got in, we started counting, then I realized I need to go home. So I told my boss, called my husband, picked me, took me home. But looking back, if I didn't go through those experiences, I would not understand what a customs officer right now does in the field. When you hear someone has fallen sick or collapsed, we've not had such a case, but you'd identify and empathize with them because you know what it means. When you hear officers being threatened, I had cases, before I left KRA, I had cases of SMSs. I had saved them until the other day I deleted them, or being threatened, People following you to your house. In Mombasa, I had people following me to my doorstep, I've gone through it, guys, customs, guys. So when you complain and talk about, I understand. I've been threatened with a gun here like this in ICD. Umewekewa hapa hivi. Unaambiwa utarelease hii. We're not going to verify. Will you release it or not? So I know. I may look like I'm up here, commissioner, I don't understand what you go through, I've gone through it. I keep saying I could write a book about my first experience in KRA. But guess what? When I came back to KRA in 2021, one of my fears was the culture. Back, some of my hidden fears were, has the culture really changed? And one of the things I told myself when I left KRA then was that if I ever come back to KRA, I want to be in a position where I'm able to positively influence this organization and create an environment where the people who want to do the right things can thrive. But guess what? The CG had already set a platform and cleaned up the place. The customs of today is not the customs of those days. And CG, I must give you the credit. The culture of customs today. Are we there yet? No. But are we committed to get there? Yes. And that is what matters. So guys, keep at it, customs guys. So let's go to technology. So we're looking at the achievements now, leveraging on technology. What have we done? And so much has been said. The CG has talked about it, the enforcement tools, the one-stop border posts, the cargo monitoring, the scanners, the RECs, the smart gates that we're working on, automation of ICMS, pre-arrival clearance, verification tools. All this is what customs has worked on. And we are still pushing on to get better and better every day. Also looking at borrowing, best practices from other jurisdictions, both in Africa and globally. We are now looking at how can we leverage on data analytics, AI, machine learning, and who knows, in a few years' time, we'll be looking at robotics, looking ahead on where the world is. So this image shows part of the things we are doing. You can see the scanners, you can see one of our vessels, or one of our boats, our Malaba one-stop border post, our command center on 13th floor. These are some of the progresses that Customs has made. What are some of the administrative measures that have been done? Enforcement of integrity, I talked about that. Welfare support for staff. During COVID, staff were able to work from home, work in shifts. Paperless customs. We've rolled out paperless customs. We are not at 100% there, but we are gearing towards there. There are some stations where we are purely paperless. Online submission of documents under paperless customs, provisions of PPEs, that's a protective gears, to be able to do the dipping for those who are in the petroleum monitoring section. Shoes, safety shoes for those who are working in the yards. We are still working on that. We are not at 100% there. Establishment of communication protocols, exigency plans. So looking at partnerships, and I talked about that, we have different kinds of partnerships, and I talked about the borders where we work under coordinated border management. At the port, we work with KPA and the other agencies, KEBS, KFIS, all those together. We take a multi-agency approach. We have stakeholder engagements. We've done so many stakeholder engagements, engaging individual taxpayers, associations, institutions, organized groups. We are operating an open door policy. And our calendars are booked, ensuring, even as we are talking, there's a team that is not here because they're engaging stakeholders. But that's part of our role. Exchange of information with other jurisdictions helps a lot. We work especially very closely with our EAC partner states. We have close collaboration with KRA internal departments. So Customs does not work in isolation. And that's why when I was starting off, I appreciated everyone, all our stakeholders, be it from ISO, Commissioner Saidimu, domestic taxes, Commissioner Rispa, Commissioner Kinu, ensuring we are well-staffed, resourced, equipped, Commissioner Kesra, represented by Emma here, ensuring that people are trained and come out right professional, And I could name all of you. For those I have not mentioned, you are all appreciated. Commissioner Legal, represented by Carol. Being the voice of reason, sometimes when we want to go take a hard stance as Customs, they keep us on check to ensure, Grace Mauricio, ensuring we toe the line in the procurement processes and not flaunt the laws, I think I saw Patience here, human resource. Where is Patience? Oh, yes, supporting us in recruitments. After we have stressed CG to allocate, finances to recruit, helping us in interviews. I'm trying to see who else I've not mentioned, but I can't mention everyone. But you're all recognized. Our regional coordinators taking the lead in the regions, Customs deputy commissioners in charge of the different divisions, our station managers, all the regions, our chief managers, our managers, our assistant managers, our supervisors, our officers, our BCAs, our clerks, our messengers, the people who make for us tea, all the way down, our security, the list is endless. We can't work alone. So we appreciate each and every one of you. And of course, not forgetting WCO. Larry, always supporting us, in the ESA region. And our WCO Secretary General, supporting us globally and always willing to help us So looking at regional integration, we have different, arrangements that we have. So we have EAC, and I'll not go through them, I'm sure we know them. EAC, COMESA, Tripartite Free Trade Area, ACFTA, the new kid on the block. And as you may be aware, Kenya has taken the front lead, being amongst the 6 countries, that are under the Guided Trade Initiative. So that we're saying, as much as not all countries are coming on board, have come on board yet, despite ratifying the agreement, Kenya has gone a step ahead. We've exported tea, and we are looking at other areas that we can, other items that we can export, working with taxpayers. We have bilateral trade arrangements. Okay, as I go towards concluding, what is the outlook for the future? I talked about the dynamic change in the supply chain environment. So there are changes in laws and regulations. We must anticipate that. Trade agreements and global partnerships that will affect the way we trade. Changing business models and new systems. Pandemics and natural calamities, we can't plan for them, but we can prepare, at least have some backup plans. Climate change, the new agenda. And for customs, we're looking at green customs. We launched the green customs curriculum at KESRA. Technological advancement and new innovations and products. Many manufacturers globally are undertaking tariff re-engineering of their products. So same item, but slightly tweaked with a different tariff classifications. Again, our customs officers must be up to speed on what's happening so that we are not caught, off guard. So basically, in summary, we're looking at data-driven customs for risk-based decisions, education and professional training, capacity building for officers, technology, infrastructure development, systems integration, business process reengineering, green customs. So I think I'll skip that. Basically, Larry already gave the background of the International Customs Day, but the agenda is to celebrate all customs officials and agencies that toil day in, day out to ensure effective world trade management. Again, the International Customs Day in KRA gives us an opportunity to celebrate our customs officials. Yeah? But more importantly, focusing on this year's agenda is to nurture the next generation, the future generation. We're only here for a while. The younger guys are the ones who need to develop to ensure there's no knowledge gap. Okay. So we've talked so much about the unsung heroes, so I'll not even go to it, but I'll just want us to look at the 2 images for the one of our vehicles that was shot at. You can see the gunshots. So some of the things I was talking about. These are some of the things our officers go through. And in conclusion, I talked about our partners. To all customs professionals in KRA, EAC, Africa, and globally, I salute you. We can't forget our partners who support us in this noble role. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of my public lecture. Happy International Customs Day. Thank you.
Haijatosha jamani. Asanteni sana. That was a powerful presentation, Commissioner Lilian. Like I mentioned earlier, there's a number of activities taking place today. This is in line some of those activities include public lectures that we've had today. We have clinics going on. We have our staff and KESRA staff conducting clinics across the country. And one of the key highlights for this event is to recognize a few of our staff for their outstanding achievements. Just to note that this is a live event, and we would like to recognize all our online fraternity, those who are following us on WebEx, on all our social media handles. I'm told that we have 1,000 plus people following this live event, and I would like to most sincerely thank you. Thank you. So asante sana for all of you who are following us online. We value your participation in this event. So, Commissioner General, sir, our chief guest, our guests here present, allow me now to invite the Commissioner General back on stage, the Commissioner of Customs, the Commissioner General, and the Commissioner of Customs, Larry Liza. I think we are all set. I think we are set. So I will invite Commissioner and Commissioner General to please come to either side of this little desk that we have here, and for us to recognize a few individuals for their outstanding service. First, Andanje Chibole. Andanje Chibole is being recognized in the category of gender mainstreaming, coaching and mentoring. She has 13 years of service, and her main responsibilities is to drive revenue strategies and oversee cargo clearance at ICD. Coming up next, Nicholas Mugambi. Nicholas Mugambi has 16 years of service, and she risk management policy and framework. Coming up next is Millicent Melcent. Has 16 years of service and currently offering policy and technical guidance. Asante sana. Next is Darlene Atieno Owila. Main responsibilities are imparting stakeholders with the necessary knowledge on customs law and procedures to enable them comply with customs matters and positively change our taxpayers' attitude towards compliance and increased revenue. Thank you, Darlene. Next up is Rosaline Washira. Washira has 15 years of service, and today we recognize her in the category for a stellar performance in executive and technical support in customs. She's a mainstay in the Customs Operations Office, and I can confirm that her working line is open 24 hours a day. Sometimes we communicate very, very late into the night. Martin Kelly Otieno is next. Martin Kelly Otieno has 19 years of service and has contributed tremendously in capacity building in QMS and audits. Today, most of customs is in the green zone in as far as QMS and other audits are concerned. And thanks to the wonderful work done by Martin Kelly Otieno. Martin Geshure. Martin Geshure has 14 years of service, has been very instrumental in capacity building and technical support in customs systems. That includes the ICMS system that we are now very proud of. Martin is a guru in business process reengineering. Thank you, Martin. Victor Okumu is up next. Victor Okumu will be joining us later. Lubeka Mwati Polycarp. Is here now? Okay, great. Please, go ahead. Victor Okumu has 9 years, and he's been very instrumental in capacity building and promotion of the AEO program. Polycarp Mwati Lubeka. Polycarp Mwati Lubeka has 14 years of service and is our guru, despite the height, in data analytics. He's very good in data analytics and analysis, and we appreciate him for the work that he has done. Thank you, Lubeka. Fred Butete Wambasi. Fred has 6 years of service. He's being recognized today in the category of our customs user systems. He's been very instrumental in supporting our customs officials doing the reports, preparatory work and submissions, in the support system. Coming up in number 11 is Philip Kandie. Philip Kandie has 18 years of service, and we recognize him today for his stellar performance in the Executive and Technical Support Office of the Commissioner. Aisha Koraya. Aisha Koraya has 8 years of service, has done wonderfully well in audit and systems review implementation. And she's very keen on being innovative and continuous improvement of customs processes and systems. Up next, we have Margaret Muturi. Margaret Muturi has 13 years of service, and we recognize her today for all the work she has done with our team in the ethics and integrity mainstreaming. She's been very useful in ICMS rollout and end user support as well as monitoring and evaluating the Horn of Africa Gateway Development Project, which is a World Bank funded project. We now call upon Stephen Kiplagat Tioni. Stephen Kiplagat Tioni, 13 years of service, performed well in capacity building in the area of rules of origin and trade facilitation agreements. Stephen is influential in the implementation of the Free Trade Area initiatives, which Kenya is a signatory among other areas. Charles Kemboi will be next. Charles Kemboi has 15 years of service. Very instrumental in capacity building in post-clearance audit and risk management analysis. His main work is profiling. He loves profiling and targeting in that order. Asante sana. Then we have Frida Kimani. Frida Kimani has 19 years of service, excelled in capacity building in tariff and customs valuation. She's good at interpretation of customs law in relation to tariff matters and assists our legal department in tariff case preparations before the Tax Appeal Tribunal or High Court, among others. Catherine Mumbi Githiomi will be next. Catherine has 13 years of service, worked really hard in capacity building in post-clearance audit, loves risk profiling and identification of cases for audit, conducts field audits on all the targeted cases, and carries out single audits referred to as rapid initiatives. Next up is Joseph Bilasio Nyariro. We recognize Joseph Bilasio Nyariro today in the category of our regional electronic cargo tracking system. He's been very supportive as a field officer, implementing customs processes and data analytics in customs service. Catherine Mwita. Representing Catherine Mwita from our enforcement and border control. Asante sana. And then last but not least, we call upon Charles Mutua Ndunda. Charles Mutua Ndunda has 5 years in KRA and has worked extremely hard to ensure that our K9 unit is up and operational, and I'm sure Commissioner mentioned that we are now in the phase of breeding our detector dogs. Asante sana. I think we are done. We can now remove the table. We now want to call upon the awardees to come forward to take a picture with our Commissioner General and Commissioner, a group photo. Awardees, please. We shall be sorted out by our photographer here. Our awardees, please hurry up a little bit. Let me also invite the commissioners here present, Commissioner Dr. Kinu, Commissioner Dr. Aindeso, Commissioner DTD. Which other commissioner is available here? Asanteni sana. Okay. Regional coordinators, you can also join the next photo. Oh, we are too wide, okay. To Commissioner General, please, Commissioner General, kindly remain. Commissioner Lillian, kindly remain. I want to call all our invited guests to kindly come and join the Commissioner General for a group photograph, please. All our invited guests, kindly come forward. We recognize the important work that you do in supporting our operations. Please. All our stakeholders who are here with us, please ensure you don't miss out on this occasion. Asante. Asante sana. Sijui usiondoke bado. Tulia tu. Tunakutaka bado hapa. Regional coordinators, deputy commissioners who are here present, please join Commissioner and regional coordinators, customs senior staff, deputy commissioners who are here, chief managers who are here, Nafikiri tukiharakisha kidogo itakuwa mzuri. Asanteni sana. This is CM's. Asanteni sana. RCs, we recognize the role that you play at the regional level in guiding our various teams, coordinating our operations. Tunawashukuru sana. Senior leadership of customs, tunawashukuru sana. Asanteni sana. CG, you may now take your seat, sir. Commissioner, you may now take your seat. It's now my pleasure, as we come close to the end of our celebrations today, to call upon Madam Nancy Ngetich. Nancy Ngetich is our Deputy Commissioner in charge of policy and international affairs, to give us a vote of thanks. After Nancy Ngetich, Abdi Malik will give us a closing prayer. Asante.
Commissioner General, all commissioners present, led by our Chief Guest Commissioner for Customs and Border Control, our distinguished taxpayers and stakeholders, all KRA staff, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. At the onset, allow me to return glory and honor to the Almighty God, whose faithfulness we continue to witness as an authority, and for successfully seeing us through today's event and its planning. I take this opportunity on behalf of the Kenya Revenue Authority to thank our esteemed guests for gracing this auspicious occasion. KRA is grateful to you for joining us in celebrating International Customs Day, a day set aside by the World Customs Organization to show appreciation to all the men and women in this unique career of customs for their efforts and activities in managing global trade. We acknowledge and appreciate our taxpayers in the various sectors, our stakeholders, the professional bodies represented, all our customers and clients in our midst this morning from the different sectors, including our authorized economic operators, for their valuable role in supporting KRA, more so from Customs and Border Control Department in enabling us achieve our objectives. And the collaboration we have attained has made the delivery of customs mandate possible, in addition to enabling us facilitate you in your legitimate trade. We also sincerely thank the KRA leadership, led by the Commissioner General and the Chief Guest Commissioner for Customs and Border Control, for dedicating time and resources to enable the Kenya Customs Administration align to the international spectra under the WCO in its implementation of legal and administrative instruments and tools. This has seen Kenya participate actively in the World Customs Organization initiatives such as risk management, coordinated border management, AEO, pre-arrival processing, leading to enhanced custom processes, procedures, and improved standards for efficient trade facilitation. Allowing the Customs and Border Control to join other WCO members every year to celebrate this day is in itself an indication of the commitment the leadership has in supporting customs, and indeed, we are very thankful. The WCO Regional Office for Capacity Building, ROCB, are WCO regional structures to support the WCO Secretariat and regional members in mobilizing resources and developing partnerships to deliver the necessary organizational services, training, and technical assistance activities. As a country, we are privileged to host the Eastern and Southern Africa region under the directorship of our own, Mr. Larry Liza. We thank you, Director, and your team for the assistance Kenya Customs has been able to get under your directorship, and urge you to always look out for us whenever you've got opportunities. We are also aware that we've been joined by our counterpart revenue authorities, the URA, TRA, and Southern Sudan Revenue Authority, who are working with us under the single customs territory. We appreciate your participation, and we are very grateful for the collaboration we continue to have that has made customs union in the region more visible. And for this, we say let's continue working as a team to facilitate the EAC regional trade. To our unsung heroes, the customs officers, your roles and marks in the cross-border trade cannot be overemphasized. Oftentimes, your job involves working in challenging environments and difficult circumstances, yet you continue to make significant contribution to our country. One writer by the name Robin Sharma said, "The world needs more heroes. Why wait for them when you can become one of them?" We choose to be heroes as customs officers. We say thank you, and let's keep up the good work. Finally, I take this opportunity to thank the organizers of this event and everyone else who has made this event successful. Thank you all, and happy International Day.
Thank you very much. I think it's time for us to close with a word of prayer. And to appreciate our diversity, I will pray in Arabic. Let's stand up. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most beneficent, the most glorious. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. We pray all this in the name of Allah, the most glorious, the most beneficent. Amin, Amin. Wish you all a happy International Customs Day.
Thank you. We may remain upstanding. I wish to recognize the Business Daily today. They have captured the mood of the International Customs Day. Asante sana, Business Daily. Let us allow our visitors, led by our Commissioner General and Commissioner Lillian, to first exit. Sisi wengine tutangojea tu, alafu tutaambiwa. Commissioner, our wageni wako, Commissioner General, thank you very much. Thank you all the online family that we've had today. We've had quite the event of the day. Unfortunately, we were not able to answer some of the questions that you asked, but we will find an opportune moment to respond to all those queries that you have asked online. So asanteni sana. Thank you very much, our visitors. Thank you very, very much for sparing this morning to come and celebrate with us. Asanteni sana. Thank you. You may now, we will give our guests 2-3 minutes to exit And then all of us are invited for some refreshments out here. You may now take your seats. Thank you very much. We are all invited for some refreshments outside in the lobby. And thank you once again. I can't thank you enough. Asante.
I'm in risk management. At post-clearance audit, we do post-importation risks or post-exportation risks. We look at the residual risks that were not captured during the time of clearance of cargo, either inside the country or outside the country. Then we analyze them, we do data analysis, and we go and do audit to confirm that there was compliance in the importation, or that if we have identified risks at the desk, we go and address the risks. This could be in terms of helping the taxpayers to comply with the customs law, and other times it could be recovery of revenue that was not collected at the time of customs clearance. I joined the Kenya Revenue Authority in the year 2005 as a graduate trainee, and this was the fourth intake of graduate trainees, and I attended the mandatory 2-year training program. That was 1 year in class and 1 year at the desk trading, which is something like an internship program. And after that, I was deployed to Customs and Border Control. At the time, it was called Customs Services Department, and I began my journey as a customs officer at the airport. So that tells you that I have been a customs officer for the last 16 years. So I'm just beginning my 17th as a customs officer. And after the airport, I went to the inland container depot. Then I went to risk management at the document processing center. So it was called the risk management office. I had a small break from risk management and went to policy and international affairs. Then I went to commissioner's office, and now I'm back to risk management, having having worked at the business intelligence unit, and now I am at post-clearance audit. Customs work is very interesting, and you know, sometimes you really cannot pick one memorable experience, because a lot of experiences are very memorable. Some of them are interesting in terms of being very nice, others are not very interesting. But I would just say one of my challenging moments as a new officer in customs, as a verification officer, I went to verify a consignment of goods. It was imported by a returning resident, and when I went there, the person began approaching me, and I could read from his body language that there was something really wrong. And when we went, we eventually realized that in his consignment, he had concealed some drugs. So the case was taken up by the anti-narcotics unit. Of course, our sniffer dogs came in, and they were able to point out where the drugs were concealed. It was actually concealed in a CPU, and the case was taken up by the anti-narcotics unit. So really, that's one of the scariest early moments of my career in customs. Mistakes that taxpayers make, and actually not just when importing goods, but also when dealing with customs. And this is in line with the recent trends, or the recent transformations in customs, is the fact that they make assumptions. There's a lot of information available, a lot of a lot of information is out there at their disposal. Customs offices are open, so they do not consult. Sometimes they do not consult, and they end up making obvious mistakes. There is information in the KRA website. We have help desks everywhere where customs is now open. Right now, customs is open, and that information is available to everybody. So I think what I would advise taxpayers and importers at that, or exporters, is if they are not sure, let them just come and ask. It does no harm asking, and I believe every customs officer out there is willing and ready to give them advice before they either import or export their cargo. When we first joined customs, even the training school was under the Commissioner of Customs. So there has been a lot of transformation in terms of how customs officers behave, how the approach that we have taken, professionalizing the trade. Initially, even when we joined, people just thought that customs, you don't even need to use your brain. You just go and stamp documents. But I think that is something that has now been overtaken by events, because we have seen a lot of transformation, almost equivalent to what I would call a metamorphosis of the department. We have also seen customs employing a lot of professionals from different fields. We have lawyers, we have engineers, we have doctors, we have linguists like me who have come in, and so there is a lot of exchange of information, there is a lot of interaction, there is a lot of input from the different fields, and the fact that even customs training has now been professionalized and it has been taken away and to KESRA. It means that we are looking now at customs not just as a trade, as a technical trade, but also as a field in the academia. So for me, when I look at customs, I am looking at customs as even an area where students will be doing their undergraduate studies in customs, and this training will not just be looked at in terms of looking at customs technical work, but customs as an academic field. I am also looking at a customs that is very professional, a customs that is digitized. Of course, we have made a lot of progress, and thanks to even the government and the current administration, paying taxes is now becoming something that is, there is a clarion call by even the senior most leadership, not just of KRA, but also of the country. So I'm looking at the future of customs being a place where people are paying their taxes voluntarily, and also given the fact that there is information out there, there are new initiatives that have been brought in, like we are now implementing Section 248A of the East African Customs Management Act 2004 that allows the Commission of Customs to give advanced rulings for tariff and also valuation matters. So we are slowly implementing that. And when I look at the future now of customs and also of customers of customs, I see a place where there will be a lot of predictability in terms of compliance, predictability in terms of the actions that customs take, predictability also in terms of the time that it takes for us to clear cargo, and also predictability in terms of us detecting risks, and also how we communicate with our taxpayers. My parting shot, I would say that I take pride in being a customs officer, because customs has made me who I am today. This is an organization or an administration that has given me a job for the last 19 years. So really, I am who I am today because of customs, and I take my job very seriously. And I would urge everyone who wants to join customs, or anyone working in customs, please take your job very seriously. They say your network is your net worth. So I believe that I'm a very wealthy person because through customs I have managed to meet and interact and make contact with a lot of people, both locally and globally. So I think customs is really, really a very good career, and I would just advise customs officers and tell them that we are privileged to be called customs officers. Globally, our work is recognized, and I believe that even if I go to another country, I just need to be given maybe the act and be taken through maybe what they do, their procedures, and I'll be in a position to work because our work is interrelated everywhere in the world, because what is an import on one side is an export on the other, and vice versa. Happy International Customs Day. My role in summary form is overseeing and supervising cargo clearance at the inland port. We basically receive containers with goods as they come in. We ensure that the documents and the goods meet the requirements and the statutory requirements and regulations of customs, and we release the goods to the taxpayer. My journey in Kenya Revenue Authority started back in 2009 when I joined in as a graduate trainee. After that, I was deployed to Customs and Border Control Department, and I've had the privilege and honor to work across different units: manifests, customs warehouse, bonded warehouse, valuation, exemptions, document processing center, and to my current station, Inland Container Depot, Nairobi. I would say over and above, it's been a growth phase where I've grown to not just from a graduate training level to an officer to a supervisor, and currently managing a team. With over a decade of experience at the Customs and Border Control Department, it's hard to pinpoint one memorable moment within my period of service. But I would have to say, what stands out as most memorable is when I go on above and beyond the customer's expectations. Oftentimes when you serve people and you go beyond your call of duty, there is a smile, there is a sense of gratitude, there's a sense of surprise that the customer has, and that comprises to form one of my most memorable experiences in my service. Common mistakes that taxpayers make in the importation and also the exportation of goods that I've observed during my period of service is the lack of knowledge. And by this I mean going to the extent of finding out what are all the requisite documents that are required, what is the due process, what follows what, and where is it conducted at, is one thing that I found taxpayers lacking in. As customs, we are at the center of the process of cargo clearance, whether importation or export, and so we have other government agencies around us who also have their due processes, and often the taxpayer will look to customs to come in during the whole process, which we will willingly step in, but I would probably urge taxpayers to be more aware of what is required of them, what are the documents required of them, what is the process, and what are the timelines for each of those processes. That way it will keep the expectations towards realistic angles, and also it will make the process of cargo clearance much faster. We cannot speak of the future without appreciating the present and also recognizing the past. We have made huge milestones within Customs and Border Control in our processes and how we do things, in the improvement of efficiency. We have come from manual processes. We would escort transit goods from Mombasa all the way across to the border. And now it's a thing of the past. We have electronic sales that are monitored from a central unit. And so we have really come from far and we have made great and huge milestones. And that is thanks to those who have gone before us and the training that we have received. And so we owe it to the next generation to improve, to look further, to digitalize more, to move from e-manual to full electronic customs. I look forward to a future of customs that is professional from the angle of even the aspect of being a customs officer is a profession by itself. I look forward to a more digitalized customs department. I look forward to a customs department that is more holistic in terms of creating processes and regulations with the customer in mind, where we build from the majority. My parting shot to customs officers across the globe is, we have achieved much. Let us celebrate the small wins, but also let us create something worth celebrating for the future generation, that when they will look back, they will say, kudos to the team that has gone before us. Happy International Customs Day.
My name is Lilian Nyawanda. I'm the Commissioner for Customs and Border Control at Kenya Revenue Authority. So Customs is a department within Kenya Revenue Authority. Customs' core mandate is to collect revenue, facilitate trade, and to protect our borders while ensuring compliance. Customs has been part of the Mombasa Port Charter, where we have specific initiatives that we've undertaken. We have the Authorized Economic Program, where we have importers and exporters signing up for our Green Channel, and their goods then are granted preferential treatment and fast clearance of cargo. We also have the Pre-Arrival Clearance Program, where we encourage importers to declare the goods way before the vessel arrives, so that by the time the goods check in, the clearance process is very fast, and we've seen many importers taking up this program. We also have our ICMS program, which is Integrated Customs Management System, that is basically new technology ensuring the fast clearance of cargo, and also it's risk-based, so it means our focus is more on post-clearance audit rather than spending so much time during the verification process. The intention is to give our importers and exporters a smooth and fast experience during clearance. We have our scanners that we've installed across all our border points, JKA, at all the airports, Mombasa, ICD, our borders like Busia, Namanga, where we ensure that we reduce the time it takes to verify cargo, and we are leveraging on an intrusive inspection of cargo. We also have our regional electronic cargo tracking system, where our goods that are passing through Kenya are secured through seals and monitored all the way to exit the country to Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi, DRC, and many other countries that we are collaborating with. The East Africa Community Customs Management Act provides for various levels of appeals that taxpayers can undertake in cases of dispute resolution. So we have the appeals mechanism. A taxpayer should be free to engage and, of course, object to the decision made by the Commissioner. There are levels of appeal. So you appeal. If you're not agreeable with the decision made, you can further take it up to the tax tribunal, which is an independent body that reviews the cases and gives judgments based on the law. We also have court mechanisms available. However, if I focus on the ADR, ADR is an opportunity to move out of court, out of appeal, and engage. So again, ADR is an independent channel where the taxpayer comes in and is able to go through the dispute mechanism where we have an independent mediator between KRA and the taxpayer. And this provides an objective process where the taxpayer is able to undertake and be heard and view and air their views and get an objective ruling. Again, the ADR is free, so there are no costs to it. And just further to that, we encourage taxpayers to engage. Customs is welcoming taxpayers to engage. We have various channels of communication. Not everything has to go through appeals. We have our social media platforms, we have walk-ins, we have a customs help desk. We are here and ready to engage. So we encourage our taxpayers to feel free, come forth, let us hear you, let's engage. Customs is a member of the Border Management Committee, and we take a lead role in this initiative. One of the mandates of Customs is protect and safeguard our borders. So whatever is coming in or getting out needs to be secured and ensure that we're protecting the kind of cargo that's coming in. We have prohibited and restricted items that we need to check and ensure that they don't come through or are given the necessary licenses that are required. So some of the initiatives that we've undertaken are the one-stop border posts, where we've ensured that we are partnering with the countries. For example, if it's Malaba, we are partnering with Uganda to ensure there's one point of clearance amongst the two countries. Part of the things we have done is we installed scanners, we have checks that takes place there to ensure that everything that is crossing through is safe for our citizens. We also have, under marine, we have patrols across our waters. We have boats that we undertake. We have marine staff who are specialized in this area to again ensure that we deter any prohibited or restricted items checking in to our country from the waters. Again, we have our K9 unit where we have sniffer dogs that are trained, and we have staff that are trained and specialized in this area. Again, the dogs help us in detecting drugs and other prohibited and restricted items to ensure, again, our borders are safeguarded. We have various channels where we just ensure that anything that comes in, is safe for our citizens. So Customs, again, takes the lead amongst other border agencies. KRA's mandate is to collect revenue on behalf of the government. So KRA is an agent of the government. KRA collects revenue, administers taxes, facilitates trade, provides a conducive environment for taxpayers to pay taxes rightfully according to the law. My call to the taxpayers is to encourage us to continue paying taxes and to thank you for the good work you've done in ensuring that we are all paying the rightful taxes that we should. So the customs staff have been very helpful. My team is professional, helpful, competent, and very capable. The customs team have played a critical role in clearing cargo, especially during this COVID time, and they went above and beyond the call of duty to ensure that goods have been cleared as fast as possible, especially the vaccines, the health equipment, and they've delivered. And above that, they went ahead and delivered even on the target and surpassed that.